Welcome back. Thank you for joining us today. My name's Todd Sylvester with the Todd Sylvester Inspires Belief Cast. I can't thank you guys enough for supporting me in this. I'd like to thank our sponsor, Veracity Networks. Thank you for believing in me. And I'd also like to thank Paul Cardall for this beautiful music that he's allowed me to play at the beginning and the end of this Belief Cast. And I want to thank all my guests who have been on here. They're fantastic. They're amazing. And I can't thank them enough. Today's going to be no different. We have an amazing person today. Her name's Julie Lee. Thanks for joining us, Julie.
Thanks. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on. I can't wait for our listeners to hear your story. Let me give you a little background on Julie. She is best known for her genuine nature as a speaker, author, podcaster, and friend. She speaks about, and frankly and boldly about some psychological battles that she has fought, and we're going to get to know more about that. She just came out with a book called I See You, How Compassion and Connection Saves Lives. And then she also has her podcast, which we just mentioned, but it's called I See You as well. And I'm excited to find out why you name it that. And she's married. She has two amazing children. And she is a woman who was highly recommended to me to have on the show because of all the great things she's doing in this world. And we need more of that. And I'm just grateful that we get to spend some time together, Julie, and to hear all these amazing things that you're doing. So thanks for being here.
Yeah, there's a special feeling in your office. I feel teary just sitting here. I can tell special conversations happen here, and
thank you.
It feels really warm and comfortable here. I'm happy to be here.
I've heard that before, and that actually makes me feel really good because that's what I hope people would feel, that they feel safe, that they feel like they can open up and be vulnerable. And what I love about doing these podcasts like this, and I know you can relate, is the connection you end up feeling with the person and knowing that this is going to help so many people.
Totally. Well, and it helps. It does help that you have Diet Coke right behind you. You have like cold sodas just sitting right by. It's just like comfortable and nice here. It's good. All the good things. All the good things.
Yeah. I wish we'll crack one open maybe at the end. Anyway, why don't we start with just give us some background on where you grew up and kind of about your childhood and your family life.
Yeah. I grew up in Springville, Utah, most of my life. I'm 6 of 7 children.
Wow, big family.
Big family, yep, big family.
That's awesome.
And we had a lot of good memories as a kid. We did a lot of camping, and I loved having siblings. We also experienced a lot of heartache. My father was diagnosed with bipolar when I was about 3 years old.
Oh, wow.
And there was a lot of pain and shame around that growing up. And it's certainly been something that was not dealt with in my life until I became an adult and started struggling myself. But I had parents who loved their kids and who really, really tried. And also there was a lot of pain and suffering and trauma that went on for me. And then I went on and I got a degree at BYU, met my husband, got married, and we have 2 beautiful children.
Right.
So we've been around a few different places. We lived in Indiana for a while my husband went to grad school at Notre Dame, and we did an internship in Houston, Texas. And I don't know, we probably moved about 9 times, and now we just built a home here in Spanish Fork, Utah, and my husband works for Qualtrics, and I do my speaking and writing stuff, and we're just real happy to be here. So.
Yeah. No, that's really cool. So you said you were 3 years old when your father was diagnosed with bipolar.
Uh-huh.
So, obviously people who have that, it's a tough thing. It's for lack of a better way of saying it, it's like the up and down. Things are good, things are horrible, and you feel the brunt of that. And you mentioned that you went through some tough times. Do you mind sharing some of those tough times and like what that was like trying to deal with that, and maybe even watch your mom trying to deal with him and how he handled it and all that? I know that's a difficult thing.
Definitely. And I will say for everybody, this looks different on every human being.
Yeah.
So my experience was watching a father who definitely trended towards the depression side more than anything else. So if you have like a sliding scale, his was definitely on the down. So his mania was not as high, if that makes sense.
Sure.
But the depressive episodes were quite relentless.
Mm.
I think some of the hardest, most pivotal moments that I remember very clearly as a child, I think because they were just so shocking and I couldn't make sense of them, although it was my normal,
Yeah.
there was a time when I came home from kindergarten when I was 5 years old and found my dad on the bed, completely still, staring at the ceiling, not blinking. And he was catatonic, which is something that can happen when you are so severely depressed. You don't move
Yeah.
and you're breathing, you're alive, but you are in a completely different state. That was pretty shocking to
Oh,
walk
yeah.
into as a 5-year-old. And I know it was because I have so few memories at that age, but that is one that I remember like the back of my hand. So there was
Yeah.
something in my brain that obviously could not make sense of what was going on.
Sure.
You know, I have a sister who was 10, and so it was a different experience for her
Yeah.
being 10 years old. And she talks about, you know, like pounding my dad's chest and begging him to wake up, and she thought he was dead. I mean, so we all have our different takes, our different stories, and me and all of my siblings have a different story about it. And so I try to be real careful to just
Yeah.
say what was my story,
What
was my experience. And it was different because I was really young, and so it was also my normal. I never saw my dad before he was diagnosed and got sick, and so that was all I knew.
That's all you knew. Yeah.
And I did see him work really hard to stay here, to stay in his body. And yeah, my mom certainly suffered as well. There were obviously times that were great, and there were times that were very, very challenging. And she is a very strong woman. And my dad is strong for staying here when everything in him wanted to leave.
Yeah.
And I honor them both for those choices.
For sure. How did, you said you're 6 of 7 children. How did that play a part? Did you guys kind of rally together as siblings during some of these difficult times? Did you feel like that brought you guys closer, or were you still too young to maybe not notice those kind of things?
I think it certainly brought us closer. While we haven't agreed on everything, I feel such an intense bond with my siblings. You know, my order being number 6, I just wanted everyone to like me. I just wanted like my older siblings to give me attention, right?
Right.
But no, I definitely think there was a lot of mothering that happened specifically from my oldest sister,
Right.
who I think really took it upon herself to try and take care of her siblings. And yeah, I have some really fond memories with my siblings growing up. And I think that a lot of what we went through as a family, and specifically us siblings, has created a really intense bond that we still share today. And like I said, it doesn't mean we see everything the same. We don't even necessarily see certain memories the same. We have different perspectives on what meaning that holds in our lives. There's some of us that like to talk about it. There's some that don't really want to talk about it. But we all, we did that together, and that's created a bond that can't be broken.
Yeah. I've noticed that I love how you keep saying, well, I'm careful to make sure I'm sharing my perception of what was happening, because someone else's is going to be different.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's good, because you're showing respect for someone else because they saw it differently. And again, based on ages too, and how we, interpret and take in information and all that stuff. But I think that's important because, it would be easy to go, well, no, this is how it was. And it's like, no. And then it ends up sometimes putting a wedge between us. So it's good to hear that you said it seems like it's kind of bonded you guys closer together.
Yeah, I think so. And I think there's been some trial and error in that.
Yeah,
I
sure.
think that there have been times when I could have handled things better.
Mm-hmm.
Especially for me, it's been tricky being more in a public spotlight about things. There are things that I have shared that have been painful, and I have had to be very careful and very conscious of why I share what I do, and making sure it is never for a shock and awe, but it is only to be helpful, and that it does stay in my story. And of course, sometimes our stories overlap with each other, and there has to be some grace in that, I think. But yeah, I deeply respect every member of my family, and I think that all of us are making really meaningful lives. I'm really proud of my siblings and where we've all come from.
That's awesome. That's so cool. Well, we mentioned earlier that you've been through some of your own psychological battles that you have fought inside. Do you mind sharing some of those and kind of when that started and what that looked like for you?
Yeah, so just to give you an idea, when I first started dating my husband, I was 19 years old, my second year of college, And I very quickly interrogated him about if he had any mental health history.
Right.
Because I was like, so I'm done with that.
Yeah.
I saw that growing up. That will not be a part of my future home.
Yeah.
So I got to know now, because we got to cut this thing off if there's any issues there. And lucky for him, there was not. He
Right.
was like, oh, I don't know. I have other issues. That's not one of them. But
Yeah.
excuse me. So we got married. That wasn't the only qualification, but that was a good one.
Right. No, it's, yeah, I hear you.
We got married, and about a year and a half into our marriage, I was actually doing a student teaching experience in Houston, Texas through my school. And I was working with a really toxic mentor teacher. And I mean, you can probably, you can tell I'm a really extroverted, bubbly, happy person,
sure,
hard
yeah.
worker,
Absolutely.
very driven. And I was not used to having mentors and people like in that authority position not like me. My professors loved me. I'd worked at schools.
Yeah.
And in this student teaching experience, I felt like I could not get this woman to like me. I remember, and this was an inner city school. There were dead dogs in the street. It was a hard place. And I think that there were teachers there that it was a really easy to get hard in there. But this specific mentor teacher was just very challenging for me. And I worked and worked and worked myself into the ground. And in 5 weeks, I had my first panic attack.
Okay.
And I think you need the context of my childhood upbringing to understand what that meant for me.
Right.
Because I had exposure to that, and what I saw was very miserable and very scary and very hopeless. As hard as my dad tried, he was struggling at a time when we were not open about these kind of things as a society, as a culture. It was something that felt very secretive in my family, at least from my perspective.
Right.
And when this happened to me, I mean, I talk about how I interrogated my husband. Never in like my worst nightmare would I have imagined it would happen to me.
To happen to you, yeah.
And I think I've had siblings confirm that, where they look at all of us and they think, of all of us, you are the one that we would have least suspected to ever have any issues like that.
Yeah.
And I felt like my life was over.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And we did this dance all through, I can say my 20s because I just turned 30 in May, but all through my 20s, on and off medication, in and out of therapy. I finally got into a really good childhood trauma therapist that helped, because it's like I'd start going to therapy over what happened at student teaching. And it was just like, there wasn't really anywhere to go with it. I was like, I don't really know, and it wasn't until I went into a therapist who happened to specialize in childhood trauma that she started picking up on things that I didn't want to talk about.
Right.
And she started really, I remember her specifically saying to me, I know how much you love your parents. Can we just talk about it? And after everything you say, please don't say, but I love my mom and dad so much. They're the best people in the world. Da, da, da. She's like, I got it. I know you do. Can you just tell me what happened? That's all.
Right.
And it was really scary to open up that pain.
Yeah.
And it took a lot of work, but even then it was like, okay, well, this is something I can get over though, because, they say she said my symptoms reminded her of like a PTSD like symptoms.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, well, that's something that people work through though. So surely, and so of course then I tried to get off medication again 3 summers ago. And this is after I had my 2 children, and I hit rock bottom hard. Really? And I am begging my husband to be institutionalized because the suicide ideations are just 24/7. And I'm looking at my 6-month-old baby and my 2-year-old son. And I tell you what, there's nothing to make you put on your big girl pants and say, I need help, than staring at your children playing on the ground, having these kind of destructive thoughts.
Yeah.
Because I knew as much as they felt like reality in my brain, staring at them, I knew I would never want them to feel that way.
For sure.
And that I would never call this truth, this thing that I'm feeling.
Right.
And so it was, that summer was the last time I tried to get off medication ever again. And I, after talking to a therapist that was very on the holistic side of things, and in general, if you don't have to take medication, that's always better for our bodies. Sure. Not to put medication if you don't need it.
Yeah.
But I remember her looking at me and saying, I have never seen someone do and do and do as much as you do. You're trying to eat right, you exercise, you do all these things. I'm very involved with my higher power, all of these things.
Yeah.
and not see the kind of progress we should be seeing. And she said, you are a specific case where I would say, I think you might need to think about permanent medication long term.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just crazy to me that I waited. It was so hard to accept for so long. And I'm so grateful I did. And now I'm so sad that that was such a hard thing to accept, because, oh my goodness, I'm so glad I take drugs now for it, right?
Sure.
I shouldn't say that to you. I know you're overcoming a drug addiction, right? I shouldn't be so flippant.
No, you're
But
good. No,
yeah,
I totally get what
you
you're saying.
understand what I'm saying
100%.
there, though.
Yeah.
Where I just, oh man, I totally take an antidepressant every day, and I totally still go to therapy for maintenance, and I totally am still susceptible to anxiety and depression for the rest of my life. And the fact that I'm okay with that I love myself and can say that is the healing power that has come in my life over this last decade. That is the miracle.
Yeah.
That I'm here sitting that and saying it and actually feeling it and believing it.
Right. Well, I've heard it said too before, like, you know, if you had something wrong with your kidneys and you needed to take medication, you wouldn't hesitate. Oh yeah, I'll take that. If that's going to help my kidneys and I don't lose my kidneys, it's like we'll easily do that. But when it comes to our mental health, a lot of times we're like, oh, whoa, because there's that stigma around it. And I think we all kind of feel that way at times, right? So that's really, you know, thanks for being so vulnerable about that and being open about that. Again, you even said it, we said it in your bio that you're not afraid to just be real and bold about what you're going through. So thank you for sharing that part about it, because I think a lot of people are like, oh man, I don't even dare tell anyone I'm taking medication, let alone, you know, I don't want to be doing this kind of thing. So
yeah, I would just say that you're not asking for this advice, but I would offer for
please.
people that are feeling that. I just think there's other places you could be spending your mental energy than worrying about whether or not you take medication.
Right.
And I just think that's a happier, more rich, fulfilling life. That's not something you need to be stressed about, whether people know that you take meds.
Yeah. No, that's great advice. I think that's wonderful. So how, I mean, this has been recent. It sounds like. How are things going for you now? I mean, you even said like this feels amazing, this and that, but talk about kind of maybe that transition to where you fully have accepted this.
Oh, I love my life. I'm so proud of my life. It reminds me of the country song, How Does It Go? I don't have a great voice, but it's like, it's the life you can hang your hat on, or something like that. You know what I'm talking about?
Uh-huh.
I'm so proud of this rich life that I've worked so hard for. I am absolutely, like we said, I'm still susceptible to it, no question.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that medication and therapy has done for me is it's like when I wasn't taking medication, it's like I'm in a house and there's a trap door and I can fall through the trap door and it closes and there's no hope and I've never been happy. That's what my brain is telling me.
Yeah.
And I look around and I don't see any light anywhere. But when I'm on medication, when I fall, I hit the ground and it hurts.
Sure.
And I feel all those feelings of, I don't want to get out of bed today. I feel those things. But I can look around and see like, oh, there's light out the window.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe tomorrow could be better. I have that perspective.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't
Awesome.
mean that I am not susceptible to bad days. And yeah, COVID has certainly done a mental trick on all of us in certain ways, I think.
Yeah.
But I just am able to progress and develop, and I love my life. I started my podcast a little over 2 years ago called ICU.
Yeah.
We're coming to a close on season 2 soon here with the 100th episode.
Nice.
And we just talk about how compassion and connection truly saves lives. It saved mine. And I watched it happen, you know, not from far away, but close up.
Right.
Very close up and personally, because that's what happened to me is people were willing to be with me when I was at rock bottom and to give me that hope. And yes, that saved my life multiple times.
Yeah.
And then I received a contract earlier this year with a publishing company to write this book, and it's a self-help leadership read, and it felt very meaningful, and it's a beautiful thing to be able to share my heart with people. I can't always I certainly don't have a therapy degree or any, you know, a life coach certificate training, none of that. But at the very least, I can say, here's this book, here's what I believe and what I've come to find through
what I've been through,
some really sucky years that I've had to work really hard towards, but I'm just so stinking happy with my life now. And I'm proud of that girl on the bathroom floor that was begging for healing from a higher power, that chose to get up and go play Candyland with her kids. And man, I'm proud of her.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Why? So you call the book's called "I See You: How Compassion and Connection Saves Lives." You call your podcast "I See You." What does that mean? What do you mean by "I see you"? Why did you call it that?
My friend that we met because we had the same therapist.
Okay.
That's always a good start to a
Yeah.
relationship.
Hey, that's my therapist too.
Yeah, that's how we met. And we met and we just clicked instantly. We've had some really similar experiences with depression and anxiety. And about a year after we first met at a park, she gifted me a bracelet that said "I see you" on it. And she talked about, and she had one too, and she talked about the meaning of that. Just that, like, that we can send each other a text message and say, hey, this really triggered me today, or hey, I was at the store and this happened, or, and we can just, it's like, I see you, like, I got you. I know,
yeah.
I witness your life. And I love it in the movie Avatar. They even say that to each other, the people, the Na'vi. I talk about this a little in my introduction, but the people on this planet of Pandora, that's kind of a greeting. It's like, I see you, like, I witness your life. I know you. And especially in a society where pre-COVID, I just saw this temptation to pull away from each other and to disconnect and to sometimes use technology as an excuse maybe to not fully engage. And I see the suffering because of that. I've experienced the suffering because of that. And I've experienced the flip side, what it means when someone touches me on the shoulder.
Yeah.
And someone looks at me in the eyes when they're talking to me like you are now.
Right.
And the impact that has on my heart and my ability to feel real, like I'm here in this world and I'm not stuck up here in my brain.
Yeah.
That isn't always telling me reality, that sometimes gets stuck in a place where I feel alone. And that's what depression is it's a very demanding mistress, and it wants you alone where it's dark and
Right.
you're not hearing other people's opinions or advice. You just are alone with those thoughts. But when we open up and we let people see us and we're open about our struggles and our joys,
Right.
then all of a sudden we start to get more of a realistic perspective when instead of just keeping it all in our head.
Yeah.
And so with the book, there also is a bracelet that's come out that says "I see you" on it, and it's for men and women. And
yeah, you have it on right now. It's beautiful.
Right now.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's pretty funky, huh?
Yeah,
It's
I like
cool.
it. Very
my
cool.
husband has one too. He hasn't always been like a man that wears bracelets or whatever, but I appreciate he puts it on and I'm like, you see me. I see what you're doing over there, buddy. Yeah. But I hope that it can be a symbol of like, I'm a safe place. Like I'm a safe person who loves you no matter what, and I'm someone you can talk to.
Yeah, I love that. You call it, how compassion and connection saves lives. When we're depressed, typically we isolate and then we think no one understands. So I get what you're saying there. Like, talk about why is connection so powerful in this? Whether it's with a higher power, whether it's with a friend, whether it's with a therapist, or why is that connection so critical in this?
Once again, I just come back to, I have learned through experience that you can make yourself believe anything.
Mm-hmm.
You can make yourself believe that the earth is flat, that pigs fly. Like, believe something long enough and it feels like fact.
Yeah.
Hate yourself for long enough and it feels like it's true.
Yeah. But
connection is getting us out of that. Connection is getting us social. We're really social creatures, right? Brene Brown, who I'm sure you know, and she also, I should have another book that says Brene Brown also saves lives.
Yeah, right.
She really impactful for me, especially the book, The Gifts of Imperfection. That was really good for me. She says we're hardwired for connection, and we are. We're meant to be. We're not supposed to do this alone. I had a therapist use this analogy with me, and it was really helpful once. She said, how did people do it in the olden days? How did they get through plagues and wars and bury their husbands together? You think about World War II, you think about how in the world did they get through that? She said they got through it because they were all doing it. They did it together.
They did it together.
They did it together. They were burying sons and husbands, and they were doing all of this together. It was this unifying thing. And she said, but what's happening now is we are suffering from isolation. And you see the crippling effects of that, because you can get through anything. If you have other people to hang on, you can do some pretty powerful
For
stuff.
sure. Yeah.
Pretty powerful stuff.
Absolutely.
But when we're by ourselves suffering and we're not connecting with others, that's when things start getting really dicey.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, you say you have a background in addiction. I'm sure you have your own experience with that, because truth is truth. And that's a truth that I have come to know is we are not meant to be isolated from other people. We're meant to do this life together.
Yeah. I'll say this a lot to my clients, that connection's the opposite of addiction, because it truly is. And I agree. We're hardwired to be connected with someone, and it sure does feel good when we know that, oh, kind of like what you're saying, I see you, I get you, I got your back. That feels amazing, even though you're struggling. Mm-hmm. It's like that, almost like a little bit of relief, like this person understands me, I'm not alone. And that's almost starts the healing process almost, right?
Yeah.
When you're in that dark place.
Well, because how can you really feel like you belong unless someone sees all of you?
Right.
Until you're transparent.
Yeah.
We all have these demons inside of, what if they knew that, what if they knew I struggled with pornography? What if they knew that I hate looking at myself in the mirror? What if they knew I wasn't so confident? What if my boss knew this?
Yeah.
But when we can be transparent with somebody,
yeah,
and accept their love, all of a sudden those voices don't really have a lot of power, because you're proving it wrong. You're saying, oh, that wasn't reality, actually.
Right. Yeah.
That wasn't reality. And there will always be people, I'm sure, you've had that experience. There'll always be people that they don't want to be a part of that story, and that's their choice. But I think it won't take too long before you find someone who does.
Right. So how is your podcast and, your book that you've just now published, and the things, speaking and all this stuff that you're doing, how has that helped you? Like, how is giving back, so to speak, how has that helped you?
Oh, it's been incredibly healing. It's been incredibly healing. And I keep coming back to addiction because the 12-step program, I love that the last step has to do with reaching out and helping others.
Yeah.
And I find that in my own healing of, the more I speak truth and speak what's reality, the less those voices have power in my head. Because I hated myself for getting married and not having my husband understand what he was about to get into. I've hated myself for that. Yeah. That I was the one interrogating him when he was going to have to be the one with me.
Yeah.
Saying, maybe it's time to call a suicide hotline. Maybe, like, no one wants that for their spouse, to put them in that position, to put them, fill them with that kind of fear.
Right.
And oh my gosh, I totally just forgot the question. What was the question?
Well, just now I forgot what I asked.
I started going down one train, and then I'm like,
yeah.
Let me
well, what did I ask? I'm trying
just
to think.
Give me a second.
Oh, how helping others has made a difference in impacting
Thank
your
you.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, we mess up too, folks.
It happens.
It happens.
It happens. Sometimes Julie just goes on a thing, and then she's like, whoa.
No, you were doing great. I got lost in what you were saying.
It turns out this is a conversation. That's what's great, right?
Yeah.
Detours. No, but so those voices still can have power, and they still creep up. They're not gone. But the more I reach out and speak the truth that I've found, the more those are the kind of voices that's how I talk to myself in my head.
Yeah.
And the great news is, when you develop that kind of self-compassion and love for yourself, you have this greater capacity to do that for other people, to practice what you preach.
Sure.
So I'm better at seeing people now because I chose to do that for myself when everything in me hated myself, didn't want to be here, didn't want to do this thing anymore, and certainly didn't want to hurt my loved ones in the way that I felt like maybe I was hurt growing up. And I'm so grateful I made those choices. Once again, I'm so proud of that girl that peeled herself off the floor and did one thing 1 second at a time.
Yeah. We were both talking about Simon Sinek before we got on air here, and I've heard him say this several times, where if you master the first 11 steps of AA, you'll drink again. If you master step 12, you'll never touch another drop. And that's really what you're doing, is you are just have dedicated your life to making a difference. And that's really why I wanted you on here, because of all this amazing stuff that you're doing. You're speaking, you've written a book, you do this podcast, you're reaching people who need to hear this message. And I know in my own recovery, if I wasn't helping others, man, I never would have changed my life. Because again, what better way to connect? when you're helping someone, right?
Yeah.
Because we need the connection.
Yep. And you're speaking that truth. You're speaking what you know is true.
Right.
So those voices are kind of getting quieter and quieter in
Yeah.
your head because you're like, oh, but that's not reality actually, because
Yeah.
I'm living it. I'm living reality.
Yeah.
And I'm watching other people heal in the way I've been healed. Like it just is. Truth just is. Truth isn't emotional. It's not loaded. It just is.
Yeah.
And I want to
exactly.
live in truth.
I love that. That's beautiful. So, you know, you're doing all these great things. You're out there but what do you do? What does your day look like to kind of keep you centered? What are the things you do behind the scenes that no one knows about but you, that keeps you where you need to be, keeps you grounded? I know you're helping others. That's a part of it, but what are you doing? What does your day look like?
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. That has been a journey because, you know, I was so hyper focused on not wanting my own mental health struggles to affect my family at all.
Right.
So I definitely have struggled with having a perfectionist attitude about I get up at 5:30 every morning, I go to the gym for an hour, and then I come home and I read scriptures and religious material,
Right.
and I pray and meditate and those things. Like I had myself so structured that way. The hard thing about having the amount of structure that I've had is it's hard to keep up with that 24/7 because there are nights when the right thing feels like, you know, to eat junk food with my husband and stay up watching a show. And that's what I need. And that feels right. That's what our marriage needs.
Right.
And so I am learning to be more flexible and to trust myself to know what I need.
Right.
Because today I didn't get up and I didn't work out because I stayed up till 1 a.m. last night talking to a friend and I really needed that.
Yeah.
And I'm learning to tell those voices in my head that, oh, Julie, you didn't work out this morning. You're going to get depressed again. You're going to end up in the hole. And it's your fault. You have the responsibility to not let this affect your family. So my days, the last little bit, especially, COVID's messed with all of us.
Right.
But I have been learning to trust myself and to let there be a day or two a week when I probably won't work out. And that's okay.
Yeah.
And, you know what? I might drink an extra soda today. And that's okay too.
Right.
And that's not really as big in my head as I have made. It's not a life or death thing like I sometimes feel like it is in my head. So but it is a balance because I tell you what, last week I am so involved with my kids. I'm a really good mom. I'm really present with my children, I feel like.
Yeah.
But it's easy for that self-care to start slipping. And last week, you know, I had a couple days like that in a row where I'm just like, I'm on the floor with my kids. We just got a new dog. So we're like, you know, getting him introduced and I'm playing with the kids and the dog and trying to help them, you know, be alpha over him and show him who's boss. We're doing all these things that are good.
Yeah.
But I haven't exercised in 4 days and I'm eating brownies for all my meals. And all of a sudden I'm starting and I'm tired because I stayed up too late. And all of a sudden I'm feeling myself start to kind of spiral.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to stop. So it is this balance all the time of yes, self-care, yes, flexibility.
Yeah.
What does that look like? And it's taking a lot of mindfulness and a lot of trust. So on an average day, I find time to move my body and I find time to be quiet and calm and to read and to meditate and to pray. And most days I shower and I get ready for the day because it makes me feel good. There are days when I don't, and that feels really good too.
Sure.
But I love the analogy. I had a professor and a mentor. His name is Brad Wilcox, and I love the analogy he gave me where he talked about, this was my background, my degree is in elementary education. He was a 6th grade elementary teacher long before he has a much more in the spotlight life now as a writer and speaker.
Yeah.
But I remember him giving us the advice. He said, you know, I have all these different responsibilities, and he would name them off. He was a religious leader. He was a professor, grandfather, dad. He's written a children's book. He's also written a lot of adult books.
Yeah.
And he talked about how every single day I have all these balls that I'm juggling in the air. And I feel like every day I pray to know which ones can drop that day because I can never keep them all in the air.
Can't do them all, right.
And I love that because, and I remember talking to a therapist about that, and she's like, and I also love taking the analogy a little further of which balls are made of rubber today and which ones are made of glass. Like maybe today my marriage is made of glass, like we're hurting, we need some time together. So that's one that I'm not going to let drop today.
Right.
But maybe my podcast and, you know, these things, maybe I can reschedule that interview. And I know that ball is going to bounce up. We're going to be all right. You know, we can work on it tomorrow. We're good.
For sure.
I really appreciate that analogy and guide that's been in my life as I try to balance being a super present, awesome mom who, of course, makes mistakes, but I sure love my kids a lot, and I try to be there for them,
Yeah.
as well as my husband, my relationship with him. I also feel a great mission and drive to do what I'm doing, to develop myself, to help other people.
Yeah.
It's more complicated life than if I were to choose one or the other, but I won't choose. I want both. I want it all. I want to be that kind of influence both in my home and outside of my home. And so I got to go with the juggling balls analogy every day.
Yeah.
And make those choices and be at peace with that. And
for sure.
that's okay.
Yeah. Well, you are a hard worker, right? Has that, I mean, you mentioned that even earlier, that sometimes that gets in the way too, because you're like, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this.
Yep.
And I think a lot of times that kind of like that all or nothing mentality.
Yep.
Like, I've got to work hard today and then I'll be okay. Versus when you said, I'll meditate, I'll sit in the silence, I'll read scriptures, whatever, pray, all that stuff, to help you just kind of go, you know what, I'm okay. I don't need to work out to be okay all the time.
Right.
So I love that you pointed that contrast out.
Yeah, it makes me think of, there's a part in my book, I talk a lot about black and white thinking, the difference between overcoming black and white thinking, and then thinking in color, and then thinking in high definition.
Yeah.
And those have different points that go with it. But yeah, black and white thinking just feels so safe, man.
Yeah.
It does. It feels safe to
sure.
just say,
Yeah.
I do X, Y, and Z, and I get this result, and this is how this works. And if other people do X, they get this result. But life is complex, and it's beautiful, and it's rich.
Yeah.
And man, I love thinking in color and in high definition, and just seeing the complicatedness in life and being at peace with it, being able to hold more than one emotion at once.
Yeah.
Yes, I need to exercise. That really helps me feel mentally well. And yes, I need to spend this time with my husband. And so what do I do with that? Can I exercise tomorrow morning instead? Can I hold both? Does it have to be I either do this or I do, I'm either an awesome mom or I'm an awesome speaker and writer? Or is there a way to do both, to find a way to be creative?
Right.
And I think there most definitely is.
Oh, I love that. That's beautiful. I'm going to pose a question to you, and I pose this to a lot of my every client actually at some point, but I'm curious on how you'll answer this. All the adversity you've been through, right? You've been through a lot, from what you dealt with, with your struggles with your dad and things like that. And obviously what you've shared with us so far. I always say this: adversity is the wake-up call to your greatness. What do you think of that statement?
I love it. It reminds me of the statement that I often say, which is, what makes you different makes you powerful. I wrote a children's book a while back, and that's not important, but in it, it's a fractured fairy tale about a princess who, she has broccoli for hair, and she just hates it so bad. She has to sleep in the refrigerator once a week to keep it from wilting. She has to trim off the moldy ends, and I used to take this and do assemblies with kids to talk about self-acceptance.
Yeah.
Well, in it, she has, her fairy godmother shows up and is like, I'm so sick of you complaining about your hair. If you really want normal princess hair, I'll do it. I just want you to take a day to think about it. Well, within that day, she comes across a homeless man on the side of the road, and she's looking for food in her satchel to give him. She doesn't find food, but she finds a pair of scissors, and she just cuts off some of her broccoli from her hair, and she gives it to him. And that night, when her fairy godmother shows up 24 hours later, the fairy godmother is like, do you want to get rid of your hair? And she just stopped, and she's like, no, because I saw how what makes me different is helping someone else, and so I'm actually going to choose to keep it.
Right.
And it's interesting because I was talking to my best friend about this, and I just stopped, and I talked to probably 1,000 kids at this point about this idea and shared this story, and I said to her, I just stopped and I got teary, and I said, I just realized something. And she said, what? And I said, this story I wrote, which I actually wrote in college when I was 19, and it kind of transformed into something else later. I wrote it for a children's literature assignment.
Yeah.
I wrote it because I made up this story on my first date with my husband. We said, tell me a story, and I made up this crazy story. And then I was like, well, that went over well, so I guess I'll submit it for my children's lit assignment. And then, my 26th birthday, whatever, he gets it illustrated. It's the weirdest story how this story came about. And it was long before I struggled with depression and anxiety. But I just stopped, and I'm like, this isn't a story about a princess with broccoli for hair. Like, this is my story.
Yeah.
This is my story of hating myself for this thing about myself I could not get control of, I felt like. Yeah. But look what has happened in my life and give me the capacity to see other people, which is the greatest honor I could ever have, is to be a safe place for someone else that's on the bathroom floor. If I could be that glimmer of hope for them, like,
for sure.
I don't know that I would trade that for anything. Can I sit here and say I'm so grateful it happened? I don't know if I'm quite to that humble place yet. Like, this is a pretty crappy decade in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But man, it's a beautiful view from here.
For sure.
And when I started putting that into action in my own life, what makes you different, makes you powerful.
Yeah.
Holy cow, did miracles start unfolding when I started, okay, I'm not going to be healed in the way I wanted to.
Right.
But the healing that I've had in going from hating myself for this and loving myself and feeling so much light surround this trial I've had, that's a miracle.
Yeah.
That's as miraculous as anything else.
Yeah. I love it. Very, very great way to answer that question. And because I do believe when I sit there and listen to your story from the time you were 3, when things started to, go the way they went, look at what you're doing now, all this amazing stuff and being an impact and a light to other people. None of that would be possible had you not gone through all of that. Mm-mm. So I really do believe, along with what you said, it's the wake-up call to the greatness that's within us. And when we finally just wake up to that, like you said, it's like these miracles just start unfolding and life just becomes this amazing thing. And you may not be fully there yet, but you will get to that point where you'll be like, I am so grateful that I struggle with this. It's hard to say. It kind of seems weird to say that, but I say this also. I'll say it's your superpower.
I say that too.
Do you? Yeah, see? So we're on the same wavelength.
Because it's truth.
It's the 100% truth.
Yep. Truth is truth. And I think that people that seek for truth for long enough, we all come to the same place.
Right.
Because it just is. It just is truth. We see these same patterns. You read books about different people that have overcome adversity and they keep searching and searching and searching to find their purpose and mission. And we all come to similar patterns and answers. And there's something really cool about that. If we'll learn that from each other,
right,
it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Maybe I can say I'm grateful for it. As long as grateful doesn't mean I have to do it again.
Exactly, right? There'll be other things you're going to have to do,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I hear you for sure. If there's someone listening to this right now who is just struggling, and I really believe I have a lot of listeners who are struggling, and they just maybe are going through similar things you've been going through, or they're just feeling hopeless and disconnected from people or whatever it may be. What advice, you've given a lot already, but if you could specifically talk to this one person right now who needs to hear something, what would you tell them?
I get choked up just thinking about that. I first want to say I see you. I see you on your bathroom floor, and I see you working so hard to keep it together. But needing more. And I would just say, I love you. I don't know you, but I see you and I feel that love for you right now.
Wow.
And maybe it's okay to let someone else take the reins for a little bit. Maybe you're really tired and it's a really good idea to reach out to a few people that you can trust and let them help you function for a little bit till you're back on your feet. You would do that for them, let them do that for you. Maybe it's okay when you're tired to let someone else help you steer for a little bit, someone else take a hand too and give you some doable tasks right now.
Yeah.
Like setting up a time with a counselor, like deleting that social media account if that's what it takes.
Yeah.
Like breaking your stupid phone against the cement if you just can't get over this addiction, whatever it is. It's totally okay that you're worth it. You are worth any measure you need to go to stay here, to stay in your body, and to live a fuller, happier, richer life than you can possibly imagine right now. Because if you're like me when I was in that place, this can just feel like blowing smoke to you. But it's real.
Yeah.
I would never claim to say I know exactly what you're going through, but I will say that I have known deep suffering, and I will not back away from that, and I will not let anyone tell me that I haven't.
Yeah.
I have been to hell and back in my own personal hell. and there is a way back from it, and that your life will be more full of light than you can imagine if you can hang on and take those steps one day at a time. And it's worth it, and you're worth it, and just good miracles are ahead.
I love that. That's beautifully said. Julie, I don't know how else to say. You're choking me up. I'm just sitting there listening to this because I think there are someone that just heard that message that they needed to hear that today. I really believe that. And I know I'm not even trying to be dramatic or anything. I really believe that people, when they hear these things, whether they're listening to my podcast or your podcast or they're reading your book, that words save lives, and adding on to the connection and compassion that you talk so much about. And I can feel the compassion in your voice. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's truth. It just is. It just is, and it always will be. And we're all in this together. The race has never been against each other. It never has been, but sometimes it feels that way. And I think
I can feel that way sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. The race has never been against each other. We all are in our own lane. We're all going to the same place. We just got to help each other out. There's no room for trying to veer into other people's lanes. There's just, there is no hard edge to compassion. You can never have too much compassion. If it feels like too much compassion, I think it's turned into something else.
Yeah. I think I heard it once. Compassion is undefeated.
I love that.
It just is. Like you said,
it wins.
It wins every time. It
always wins. Yes.
Well, if someone wanted to reach out to you and ask you a question, if they want to, how can they find your book? How, where's your podcast located? Tell us how they can do that.
Yeah. So my book, it's on Amazon. It's on my publisher's website, which is cedarfort.com. But you can find all of those links in one place, which is my website, which is julieleespeaks.com.
Okay.
julieleespeaks.com. And also you can find my bracelet there as well. And my podcast is there. My podcast is on, Apple, Spotify, Google Play. I think it's everywhere. I don't know, everywhere that I know about. But
I'm sure it is.
But my website is a good one stop for just everything that I'm doing. Of course, I'm on Facebook and Instagram at Julie Lee Speak without the S, because the other one, I don't know. They wouldn't let me have the other one. I don't know. But yeah, I am so happy to share my message and to help however I can. And I hope that one person does hear that today. And it's true. Yeah. And you're the one meant to hear. That's the beautiful thing is I don't know who you are, but someone much bigger than me does. And that's what they would have right now.
Right. No, that's beautiful. So do you have any upcoming events you want to share with us? And what's next on the horizon for you?
Well, I am really excited because I am looking towards another writing project. Right. And I am coming to the close of season 2 of my podcast, and I'll probably be taking a little bit of a break and seeing what's next for me. I have a real passion for being with people in real life. Yeah. And that's really hard right now.
Right. I know, isn't it? It's it's
really hard. So this is so great to be in the same room and just, a few feet away the way we can do this. Yeah. But as far as events and things like that, there's nothing scheduled right now except for, I keep being asked to do these interviews and things, but a lot of things got canceled, a lot. Yeah. But that's the next step. That's the next project is, despite COVID, how do we creatively see people? And that's why I am so grateful for the book and the bracelet and the podcast, these things that are there that I can at least extend to others, except I got to keep giving it away for free. I'm just never going to make money in life is the problem because I think that I had help writing this book and I think everybody should read it. Maybe every author feels that way, but I just I just see people. I'm like, wear the bracelet, read the book. It's okay. Yeah. I'll just put it in the hole of my business account where I never make anything. It's fine. But
we were talking off air about Paul Cardall and just how he's just a cool dude.
He is a cool dude. You're
just a cool dude.
Thanks.
And I think that's what it comes down to. You're doing this for the right reasons. Yeah. And the more, if it means giving away a bunch of stuff because it's going to get the message to more people, that's where your heart is. And I love that. That's so inspiring, actually.
Yeah. And I know I've had a lot of mentors say to me, you do need to charge to speak because you you will impact a larger amount of people when you start charging.
Right.
That's just how it works.
Sure.
And so certainly I hope that's in my future, and I can
Yeah.
buy a few more frozen Costco meals for my family so that I can like balance all this and have time to, you know, maybe one day I can pay someone to clean my toilets or something. I don't know. Cause I also like kind of need my house neat. I'm also kind of a neat freak. So that's a
Yeah.
problem when you're trying to do so many things,
I
right?
know,
Working
I
out of
know.
that perfectionism. But, I stand by my life and my choices, and I love what I'm doing. And I think there's big, exciting things ahead. I don't know exactly what that means, but I'm pretty pumped for the ride.
Yeah. Well, you're the perfect example of this, is that if you don't own your story, it owns you. You definitely own your story.
Yeah.
And you said that the whole time through this, and I love that about you. You're real, you're authentic, and inspiring.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm bad at a lot of things, but there's a few things in here. I'm pretty real.
Oh, you are, and I love that
Thank
about you.
you.
Well, so it's julieleespeaks.com.
Mm-hmm.
It's a one-stop shop. You can go get everything from there. You can find out with her book, her podcast.
Yep.
And so I thank you so much for taking some time out of your busy schedule to come sit with me, and it really is my honor to have you on today. It really is.
Thank you for letting me in this beautiful, miraculous room that just feels so good. Thanks for letting me be here.
Thank you. Well, there you go, listeners. Thank you so much for joining us today. Julie Lee's an amazing person. You're amazing. And I want to thank you for always tuning in. Please share this with someone you know that might be struggling. If you're struggling, please reach out to Julie. As you can tell, she's an open book, and she'll answer any of your questions, and she will help you and guide you any way that she can, that's possible for her. But I love you guys. And again, thanks to my sponsor and Veracity Networks, and also Paul Cardall. Thank you for the music, and thank you guys. And until next time, thanks again, Julie.